Hello, Sunshine, and welcome to episode 2 of Directions from Your Spiritual Tour Guide. My name is Chanel Scott, and I am your host, and it comes from the heart and soul. Let me tell you a secret. Well, maybe it's not a secret, but everyone is intuitive. Yes, everyone is intuitive. And I know you maybe don't believe me, but it's true. And let me explain it. So let's think of intuition in the way of a skill instead of a gift, because most people think of it as a gift. Mediumship or intuition, being psychic, they think of it as a gift. But the reality is that it's a skill. It is absolutely a skill that you can build and grow and get better at. It is a skill that some people are just naturally more gifted or talented at than others. I, personally, am not talented in any way when it comes to sports. I am not coordinated enough to play ball, use a hockey stick to hit a puck. Oh, don't even get me started on golf. It is not my thing. It is not my skill set. It is not a gift that I possess in any way, shape, or form. Do I have skill? Yes. Very, very, very little of it when it comes to playing sports. But it is a skill that I'm sure if I practiced more, I would get better at. But let's be honest, I don't enjoy sports that much, so I'd rather go to yoga class or ride a bike or go for a walk than hitting the gym to go play basketball or the court to play tennis, or please don't make me go play golf again. The same way, I'm sure there's plenty of you out there that have no desire whatsoever to increase your ability to tap into your intuition. But there are a ton of people out there that absolutely want to. And it is a conversation that comes up a lot. It is a question that I get asked a lot. And it is one that I am giving you most of the answer to today. But the basic answer is that everybody has it. For myself, intuition's always been there. My psychic abilities, my mediumship abilities have been there since I was really young. It's something that I knew existed and I knew was different and knew to keep it quiet. And eventually I knew that I didn't want anymore and turned it off. But it's something that I came back to. And when I came back to, I had to relearn how to tap into that again, how to tap into those skills that I had. And of course, I had to practice and work on it to get better. I know you think you look at the Long Island medium or, somebody like that and think, oh, they just have it. And yeah, they're great at it, but I bet you she gets better every single day. She learns more signs, more skills, and just is able to take more things each and every time she does a reading and gets better and better and better. I dare you to watch episode 1 compared to the newest episode and notice the difference in how she works and how her messages are shared. It's going to be different because she has grown that skill in a different way. The universe gives us things as we move along our path, and it helps us to learn and grow and to teach us things about our own intuition. Typically, as an intuitive or a medium, a psychic, that we are given messages, signs, symbols, pictures in a way that we're going to understand them. In the same way, the universe will start to give us things that represent the same thing over and over and over again. But ultimately, we're given them in a way that we understand them. And so to learn those the skill of interpreting that, and I use the word interpret loosely because I don't feel like I necessarily interpret things as I know that when I'm shown a certain thing, it means a certain thing because I've done it enough that the universe has shown me that I'm correct in that I am not making an assumption and I'm not necessarily interpreting, but I'm being shown something in a way that I can share it back to somebody to understand what's going on. That's how intuition works. So let's go here. Let's go to gut feeling because everybody gets those gut feelings, those uh-oh, something feels off about this. Something doesn't feel right. Like when you go to eat something and you're like, I just don't think that I'm supposed to eat this. Maybe it's gone bad. And when you smell it or taste it, you go, yeah, definitely is. Or that gut feeling when you're, going someplace and you should take another route. Or you're driving through the storm to go catch a plane and you just know that you're going to spend the day in the airport because the storm is going to keep you where you are. This gut feeling of maybe I should just turn around because I'm going to get delayed over and over and over again. Or maybe it's that like you meet someone and you're just like, I don't know what it is. I don't know. Not going to go there, right? Like we have those signs, those gut feelings that just kind of creep up and they tell us something when we listen to them. When we listen to those gut feelings, like, hey, I'm going to go to this store instead of that store because maybe what I'm looking for is on sale or it's out of stock at the other place. When your gut says go here and instead you go to the place that you usually go and you get there and it's not there, that is gut feeling. That is that intuition that's trying to steer you in the right direction. But again, I'm going to say this again. Intuition is only as good as it is the person listening to that intuition. So a huge part of this is listening to those gut feelings, listening to the little messages, the signs, the symbols, however you're receiving them, but listening to them to actually tap into them. Again, some people are just naturally more able to do that. It comes more easily to them. And for other people, they're just so out of their bodies and so disconnected that they don't pay attention to those things. And they walk into those places and those spaces and those moments that you wish you had avoided if you were just paying attention. So I wanted to share a little story when it comes to intuition because it was, I think it's a really good story to share just how in tune we can be when we choose to be and how we can tap into that skill set when we're given the opportunity and sometimes when we're just supported and guided on that. That's why I like to be that spiritual tour guide. Now, I went to work with a group of students at a program that was for expelled students. So students that were taken out of mainstream schools because they had been expelled and they'd been put in a program that they got a lot more support. There was a social worker, there was a little more of a smaller ratio for teacher to student, and there was just a little more resources for those kids that needed a little more help. So my friend was a social worker and she had invited me to come and do some meditation and talk about stress relief. And I chose to do an activity that I had learned from another teacher and had done with her and thought this is a perfect opportunity to take this forward to these students. So we talked about stress relief and how simple things like playing a game of basketball can be actually a moving meditation to help reduce their stress. And it took a little convincing, but they started to get it and understand what I was talking about, which I was super excited to hear them like catching on. So then I suggested we do a fun meditation. So I handed out an orange to each and every child. Teenager, they weren't really kids. And with a black magic marker, we wrote on the orange the kid's name, or they wrote their own name. Then they held on to that orange as we did a meditation. And this meditation was all about infusing the orange with good energy. So first we put all of our worries and stresses into a worry tree and allowed the worry tree to take those things on. Then we used the orange to really set intentions towards the things that we really wanted in life. More peace, more joy, more happiness, whatever it was. But we were really infusing the good stuff into that orange. So the kids held on to it, and I was surprised. They all closed their eyes. They all held on to their oranges. They all did the meditation, and I kept it short. I didn't take it too long because, of course, I knew that their attention span would be time limited as I knew what I was getting myself into. I had been pre-warned. So we did the little meditation. Then I took out a pillowcase, and I had them put their oranges inside the pillowcase. And I asked them to then put their hand into the pillowcase to take out their orange. And it was funny. The first kid put his hand in, grabbed the first orange he touched and pulled it out again. And of course it wasn't his. And I said, let's try again. This time, can you put your hand in the bag? And can you close your eyes? And can you touch the oranges until you feel like you've got the one that's actually yours? And he did it. And every other kid in the room did it as well. So what we did is each time they pulled their orange out, we put it back in so that the next kid had a full bag of oranges. I think there was maybe like 8 to 12 kids, so there wasn't a lot. So I didn't want to like be taking them out and not putting other ones back in. So we kept putting them back in again. But it was amazing. And the kids were blown away that they could even do it. And I had one that didn't want to do it. And he did it and he picked his orange. It may have taken him 2 or 3 tries, but he was able to do it. They all were able to do it, even though they maybe couldn't do it on the first try. They could do it after doing, like, taking their time. And that's that piece of like skill. So that was that piece of them having to get more centered, calmer, and more connected to their own energy to actually be able to pull out the orange. Also, they're teenagers. They had to let go of that, you know, self-awareness piece of like, oh my God, is somebody else judging me because I'm doing this right now? It was incredible to watch this group of young teenage boys embrace something that was totally outside of their comfort zone and allow it to teach them that they can connect to their own energy, that they can connect to meditation and learn how to self-regulate, something that some of them had a lot of trouble with. So it was an incredible experience, but it also just showed how much that intuition is partly about this piece of getting quiet and getting to that place where we can actually listen. Learning how to tap into your intuition is completely possible. And a big part of that is just learning how you receive in, you know, your intuitive messages. What is your clair, the 5 clairs or 6 clairs, you know, sight, hearing. Do you hear like voices? Do you smell things? Do you see pictures? Maybe you taste things. I sometimes taste pancakes because it's my grandma. I smell this sweetness of the maple syrup and I feel like I'm tasting pancakes. I dislike when I smell cigarette smoke, but sometimes that comes up. So knowing how you receive those. And then the hard one is sometimes people are just clair-knowing, and I am very clair-knowing. I just know stuff. And it's really hard because it's a complete trust game. Complete trust. But a big part of that intuition piece and knowing is about how you receive that information. Once you start to realize that you receive by feeling, or you receive by getting a picture in your mind, or let me tell you another secret, that voice in your head is actually intuition and is actually mediumship. Yeah, it is. Everybody assumes that we hear this omniscient voice, and it's so not the truth at all. It is your own voice. And when you realize that that voice doesn't actually talk like you, it sounds like you, but it doesn't talk like you, then you start to realize that, oh, that's spirit stepping in, or that's intuition. That's the universe stepping in and telling me something. It's giving me a message that I want to now realize is a message from the universe, or that's spirit talking to me, and I can now hear that in a different way. I know it's made out to be this like mysterious thing, but the reality is, like I've said all along, I'm going to give you the real talk about spirituality, and let me tell you, you're intuitive, and that voice in your head is maybe a spirit talking to you, or the universe sharing a message with you. I don't know why people think that it's this big top secret thing, and maybe it's because as mediums and psychics we just don't say it out loud enough, but the reality of it is that voice in our head is not male or female or has an accent. It is our voice. It is absolutely our voice. It just takes on verbiage, language, a tone that isn't ours sometimes, and that's when we know it's somebody else talking to us instead. I know, right? Sorry. It's that easy. It really is. Learning how to tap into your intuition is really, it's about practicing a skill. Knowing how you receive and ways that you can, tools that you can use to tap in a little bit more. So I'm going to share one of my favorite ones for practicing intuition because it's super simple and you can do it anywhere. One of the big ones that I like to do for tapping into your intuition is the traffic game. So as I go to work, and not so much the job I have now because it's a straight meh to work now, but some of my old jobs, or even like if I'm going someplace, if I'm going to the grocery store or a friend's place, I always listen to my intuition on which way to go. And when I listen, because sometimes I don't, when I listen, the universe will steer me in the right direction. We live close to the highway, and sometimes the highway is a mess. So when I listen to my intuition, and when I acknowledge that it's telling me to turn away from the highway, it's usually because there's a backup on the highway. And if I check, it's usually the highway is red. But this is what you do. As you get in your car and you go to head and you have options of going one way or another, let your intuition decide. Let your intuition decide if you take one route to work or the other. You're going to both get there no matter what. In the long run of things, it's just you might take a different route to get there. This is the perfect opportunity to tap into your intuition. And then it's great when you get to work and somebody said, oh, did you go down such and such street? Because it was so backed up today. There must have been an accident. Or the light was broken and it took me forever to get through the light because it was acting like a four-way stop. It is that validation that you need to let you know that you listened to your intuition and you went the right way. So that is my freebie for you. That is my little tool that you can use for tapping into your intuition. Meditation's great for tapping into your intuition, getting quiet and getting into that space where you can really listen and hear yourself. And sometimes, again, it's that moving meditation piece of it for some people. Like maybe you need to, as you're cooking, you come up with great ideas. I always joke that when I take my students into Shavasana in my yoga class, I come up with the best stuff. You know, whether it's a problem that I've been working on or a business thing that I'm trying to do, like things pop into my head when my students are in Shavasana because I'm in this place at that point that I'm so connected to myself and to the divine by the end of my practice, teaching. And I've brought my students to this beautiful place of relaxation and my mind just goes and cracks open and good stuff flies out. So know those places for you where you can actually tap into that intuition in a greater way. And of course, there are tons of great podcasts and books and YouTube videos and everything else and courses on tapping into your intuition. If you are interested in learning more in intuition, I very shortly have a bundle coming out. I actually have two options. One, you can purchase a bundle and it's got Intuition 101 in it. Or number two, you can become a member of the Divine Map and you will get Intuition 101 as part of that. It is a portal of recorded courses, yoga classes, meditations, yoga nidras that you will have access to and will be added to each and every month. So if you want to know more about that, jump on my newsletter at www.fromtheheartandsoul.com. Jump on there and join my newsletter to get more information on those programs and anything else that I am teaching and sharing. And give me a little comment on this. Give me a little info on your favorite way to tap into your intuition. Share a tool, a trick, a game that works for you that other people can read by jumping into the comments of this podcast. So drop it in the comments below. Share. We want to hear how you tap into your intuition. What are your tips and tricks? And share them with someone else so they can learn how to tap into their intuition too. Because I'm not going to compete with you. Because I want us all to win. I think it's important we all learn how to tap into our intuition and become better at it so that we can get into the flow, so that we can all live in that place where magic exists. From my heart and soul to yours, have an amazing rest of your day.